The plan is to repair this old bench. Now to do that, I'm going to keep the metal ends, give them a rub down and a repaint, but the wood for the seat and the back shot to pieces. That all needs replacing. When I take this apart, I'm not going to be spending a lot of time trying to preserve the wooden components because they're all destined for the skip. These are the two ends. They're looking fairly good. I think they're pretty well made and they're going to come up really well with a coat of paint. The next job is to get all these nuts and bolts off. Now you'll find that a good pair of bolt cutters will save an awful lot of time in situations like this. The cast iron ends are in really good condition, so I'm going to give them a quick rub down with a wire brush, and I think that will be then ready for the next stage. And the next stage is painting. It looks to me like these ends were originally painted green, so that's what I'm going to do. I've got this old tin of green which seems to still be in pretty good condition. It says that it doesn't need any undercoat or primer, and that's perfect for me. So I'm going to splash it on, then go in for a cup of tea and let it dry. Of course, painting something is not just about adding colour, it's about adding protection. So make sure you cover all the tight spaces. The first side is done and it's looking pretty good. Onto the second side. I'm using a stiff brush for this because I find it's better on thick paint to get into all the little crevices. That's both of the ends painted and I think they look pretty good. Next up, I've got to find some wood for the seat and some wood to make a new back. I've got these slats which were bed supports from a previous project. The original seat slats are 2 1/4 inches. The ones I'm proposing to use are 3 1/4 inches. It's not such a big job for me to take 1 inch off these so that they fit the brackets perfectly, so that's what I'm going to do. All the 5 pieces for the seat have been cut. The next step is to take the sharp edges off. I'm using a router to round off the edges. After that, I'm giving it a sand down with some 120 grit sandpaper just to make it a little bit smoother. I'm adding teak oil to the wooden slats. The teak oil acts as a preservative and also enhances the colour of the wood. I've pre-drilled holes in each of the slats for the bolts to go through. Fixing them to the ends is relatively straightforward. Simply push the bolts through and do them up. Then repeat at the other side. That's the seat part finished. It's looking pretty good. On to the back. So the plan is to have these 2 main slats as back supports and then vertical pieces of wood in between. I'm laying out the main pieces now. I've got the 2 main support beams and the individual vertical slats. Of course, what I realized when I came to put this together is that I didn't have to glue up the entire length of the support slats. That wasn't necessary. So with everything square, apply the clamps and leave the glue to dry. It's a couple of hours later and removing the clamps reveals the back, which seems to be in pretty good shape. The next step is to apply a coat of teak oil to the wood for protection and also to bring out the colour of the wood. When that's dried, we can attach it to the bench. And to finish it off, it's just a question of putting the back into position, fixing the bolts through the holes and tightening them up. And that is it. The bench has been repaired. It looks fantastic and it's a good job done.